Good morning, everyone. For everyone who watching this, that's not the morning. What's up? So, make this long story short, this video is about comparing two bosses or whatever. Everybody's in this situation, but I'm gonna break it down, my opinion of what they are and which one I prefer to do. And let's go. All right, so what's up, everybody? It's your boy, the PsychoTutor, yet again. Quite a minute. I will say, if you like this video anyway, and you do, I guess, want to continue to follow the content, why not leave a like? Just comment down below your opinion of the topic or where you think you stand, and subscribe, click the bell for additional notifications. Why not? So like I said, let's get right into it. There's two bosses in every situation. It's kind of like how I look at it. Like, I have the kind of question that I have to live with every day. Everybody has this question, and the question that I'm referring to is what two bosses is. You can choose between one or two like lifestyles between these bosses. One is basically having a tangible boss. It's basically a concrete boss, and then the other is like an abstract boss. A concrete boss is basically working for a company or a any form of organization where you have someone who is over you, meaning like a superior who can tell you when to clock in, how much you're getting paid, how much is your time worth, or whatever. So there is a pro and con of this, and it's not totally bad. I don't want to sound like, you know, the other boss is better, but the concrete boss, some of the pros is you have time set aside distinctively for when you're working. So for example, the 9 to 5, you work, clock in at 9, you get off at 5, and you know, at least, you know, between 10 to 9 the next day, given that situation, at least you know you have all that time to yourself, essentially. Another benefit is you also know exactly how much you're getting. There is very little risk when it comes to how much money you can lose. The money that you make is essentially planned out for you already. You can actually do the math, most likely on the calculator, if you have the proper education. You know, if you make, like, let's say $10 an hour and you work 40 hours a week evenly every single week, then that's basically 10 hours times the estimated 5 days. So, you know, that's 40 hours a week, and you multiply the 40 hours a week times the 10, that's 400 times 52, that's like, what, a little bit over maybe $10,000. You know, I'm not looking on the calculator, but you get the point. And then there's also a clear, depending on the company's standards, you can actually see specifically how the raises go. You can actually see the scaling of your development over the future. You can understand how your time has been invested. You work for a year, you get a 50-cent raise. If you're lucky, $1. You know, so you go from 10 to 11 to 12, and some people who work there for 15, 20 years, you can actually see the tangibility of those raises, where some people working probably the same thing as you, no matter how simple the job may be, you're making 10 and they may be making $17 an hour doing the same thing. Like, some jobs can actually become technically careers through the raises themselves, that can even on occasion be due to the boss choosing to. They're like, the quality of your services are essentially very well. You're getting great reviews. Your quality of work ethic is exceptionally, like, wonderful. So some jobs give you raises on a whim. So that's that. Another pro is the option to health insurance and dental insurance. Then there's another option of taxes. You don't really have to worry about paying the IRS anything. They pay you, because all your money been coming out of taxes all throughout the year. And I mean, there's a few pros with that. So some of the cons include, again, it's also a pro, but some of the cons includes your time, the pay for time ratio. What I mean by that is, a lot of people, they value their time very well. Like, for example, if they want to babysit kids, they would say, like, oh, I want $20 per hour for, you know, for each child, or something of that nature. And they get to, you know, with that particular situation versus your job, you can't exactly choose how much you're getting paid. You're kind of forced into the situation unless you look for something else. So another con is the boss decisions. Like, the fate of your life at that moment, and all of the moments while you're working for any particular job or organization, is essentially up to the boss. They can fire you for practically any reason, and they can fabricate why. And if they have the slightest bit of evidence, or if they just have the greatest word of mouth, where other people who may be above or under them won't really question it as much, or they don't care, then you're just basically out of a job. So another con I would say is the lack of time, like the work time, like the time life balance as far as your job. Like your job freedom balance can be very weighing. Like there's a lot of things that I have missed, and I still I already know off the bat. Like I work at Walmart, and I already know off the bat I'm going to continue to miss things that I would want to be a part of. Like there's been maybe a few baby showers I've missed. You know, I missed a few opportunities as far as, you know, being able to make some money with my little small business. There's other times where things that I'm working on with school has just been like amplified 10 times greater as far as difficulty, because of, you know, the lack of, I would say the lack of care, but the inconsistency of time between my job and my other responsibilities. So as far as the other boss, so the other boss is a bit different. The other boss is the abstract boss, or in other words, you know, it's not there, it's you. So with the other boss being you, then guess what? There are the situation where you're basically telling yourself what to do. You have nobody over you, you are over yourself. And it's basically like self-control. So some of the pros is basically you don't have to worry about anybody, you know, evaporating your source of income. Everything that you're doing as far as making your money is totally up to you. That's one of the greatest things about it. You in many situations you also get to choose your hours. Like with Uber drivers, for example, they get to choose their hours. It's not like they have to put into a system when they're clocking in, when they're clocking out. They do it on the whim. Like if I'm bored right now and I was working for Uber, I can be like, you know what, I feel like working, and then just go driving, go drop stuff off, or whatever whatever I want to do as far as making money that day. You get to choose your own hours. Another pro is the scaling. Like you don't make money per hour. You're making money per, I would say, per product or per service. You know, being a business, providing your product or service in exchange for income, you have a faster scaling possibility. You know, business is tough, but as you build a brand and trust with an audience, the likelihood of you building income can increase. So I'll give an example. So I make $11 an hour at my job. I normally don't really share that kind of stuff, but it's whatever. It's just a job. I don't really care much. So I make $11 an hour, right? So if I work a full 8-hour shift, I make $88. So, you know, that's not even including tax taking it out. So I made $88 working for Walmart here, and then on the other hand, you know, I have clients here and there as far as paper requests, you know, like my services. If you go to the official PsychoTutor.com, you can see what I mean. Officialpsychotutor.com, then go to the services page, and you'll see everything. I mean, when I tell you like my service, my business, whatever. And basically, for example, I have 2 orders right now. Both of them are $40 a piece. Writing wise, which is what the service is mostly about, is mostly for the promotion of education. And writing usually takes me 2-3 hours, depending on the complexity of the order. So I got 2 orders for that I quoted at $40. So let's say it takes 3 hours, and 6 hours of my, you know, free time and at the leisure of my pace, you know, I basically made $80 for an estimate of 6 hours. Like yesterday, I was sitting in front of the computer for an hour, and I've done 2/3 of everything I needed. And now when I go back to finish, it's probably going to take maybe an hour for both, because the format's, you know, set up already. And then the information that I'm using as far as the instructions to complete the orders are simple enough for me to understand it. So 6 hours max if I'm rushing and still proofreading to make sure it's efficient, accurate work. I'm looking at maybe 5.5, 4, if I understood everything from the beginning. So, you know, it's a ratio of enjoying myself, eating candy, you know, just going at my own pace, at my own leisure, versus the idea of being confined to a place where I have to choose when I'm going. Like, I have to go in at a particular time. I have to get off at a particular time. I can't point myself. And the ratio of my growth can proceed. Like, I would say, today is today is Monday. So today is Monday. And let's say since last week, I've worked, maybe 20 hours. So, you know, I made a certain amount of money from there, and I would say it's about 160, maybe 170 I would say 180 as a high cap, and just this past weekend, going up into this week, by the time today is over, business wise, I would have made, let's see, I made 50, I made 170, so that's 220 plus 80, so I made about $300 on top of my job. So, and all of this is at my leisure. So no boss is a benefit, no time clock is another benefit. A third benefit is you can't get fired from something that you're working for yourself. Your balance of time is a lot easier. You also you learn responsibility through the scaling of yourself. And then the power of your future is greater in your control. Some of the cons is that all the things that companies normally pay for, you have to pay for everything. Like the materials, you have to take care of it. Like I have 2 laptops, and my dad paid for one of them like multiple years ago. Had to fix it myself when it got messed up. I have a second one that I bought myself. You never know if the first one goes out, or if I'm in a location where I need my technology to get stuff done. So I've gotten those done. So I got my own resources. I create my own time. I basically have to do everything myself, no help. And if I do, I very likely will have to compensate the individuals for it. So just to break down the 2 things, because I know I've been kind of on a tangent. There's 2 bosses that everyone can have. There's the abstract boss and there's the concrete boss. Now between those 2 bosses, the concrete boss is somebody who can fire you, or they can promote you, and you can be on a high on the rise or a total drop into catastrophe. And then on the other hand, you have the abstract bosses, which is yourself. Me, myself, I'm actually I'm on both. It's not that you have to absolutely choose one, but you have to decide in the upcoming future, what do you think is more beneficial for yourself? In my opinion, I have seen the benefits of both. I've seen people who have successfully become independent through a job and through a career. But that's pretty much it. My brother's back, and yeah, I'm about to go. This is the PsychoTutor. Peace.